Friends, welcome to our today's class. We are going to start a new chapter. This is about registration. We will be learning the law regarding registration, various rules related to registration. And also, what is more important is that we'll also understand the registration process. So practically, we'll do an exercise, the registration process. I'll be starting first law part we'll be studying, then practical things we'll be learning. Give me a minute. I'll be sharing the related PPT file with you. I think you are able to see the screen. Are you seeing the screen now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so registration process we are going to learn. Well, friends, now you can see the slide. Right. So we are going to start the process. Before that, let me tell you the purpose of what is the expected out of this particular chapter. We'll be understanding the concept of taxable person. Very basic level, we have already understood what is taxable person in the initial chapter. But again, we'll be understanding who is a taxable person. When a person becomes liable for registration, what is the situation where one is supposed to get PSF registered? There is a concept of compulsory registration also. Section 24 talks about that. We'll be learning the compulsory registration. Who is not liable for registration? That process also we are going to learn. Then detailed procedural things practically we'll be seeing it. How to get one person registered. How to do amendment in the registration. If you want to make some changes in the registration. Maybe you want to add one more place, additional place. Or maybe you want to some other thing, make changes in the address. So how to make amendment in the registration, that also we are going to learn. And we'll also see the process of cancelling registration. And in case registration has been cancelled by authorities, how to revoke it. So that is the purpose. All these things we are going to learn in this chapter. So the chapter is procedural, right? Legal things definitely will be learning, but various procedures are there. We have to understand all these things. Okay. To have an overview of the chapter, we have listed certain things here. Person liable for registration, as I told you right now, we're understanding that thing. Compulsory registration process. Person not liable for registration, procedures for registration, amendment, cancellation, and revocation of registration. These are the entire thing which are related, which are centering around the registration process. Everything will be learning in this chapter. Okay, got some basic idea about the framework. This is how we are going to proceed step by step. First, coming to introductory part, I am showing you something. Can you tell me what is this? What is this I am showing you?
Registration
Registration certificate. I think for some of you, net connectivity is poor. Or my voice is clear or not clear?
So yes, sir, your voice is clear.
My voice is clear. Okay, fine. Well, so you are saying a registration certificate, right? Okay, this is called as GST registration certificate. This has to be displayed in a prominent place in the business. Now, friends, you know there is a concept called GSTN, GSTIN. Is it not? Can you tell me what is the meaning of GSTIN? We have learned it in our initial chapter.
So goods and services tax identification number.
Yes. In this particular certificate, can you find out or can you tell me what is the GSTIN? Is it mentioned?
Yes, sir. So 21AA NFB 1373 L1ZH.
L1ZH. Okay, if you find out, if you have a look minutely, this is the registration number. Okay, in every GST certificate, we can find out this GST. So you should be able to know where GSTN is written, you can easily find out this. And first of all, before going to the registration process, as you can see, this registration number is a PAN based number. That means it is linked to PAN. Right. So that PAN is hidden here. The permanent account number is included in this GST number. Can you tell me, by seeing this number, can you tell me what can be the PAN of this particular registered person? Can you tell me?
Am I audible?
I want to know what is the PAN. This is the GSTN I am giving you.
1373 LI.
No. Yes. So you should have, first of all, you should know that PAN is a 10-digit number. Okay. Can you find out a 10-digit PAN here?
So FB1373 LI.
No, it's not like this. Okay, I'll show you the PAN. GST is a 15-digit number. PAN is a 10-digit number. I am showing you the PAN of this particular person. You see, this is the PAN. Can you read the PAN here? Can you tell me what is PAN?
So no, sir, it's hidden, sir.
No, PAN. Can you see it? PAN is visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Please tell me what is PAN.
So it's AANFB1373L.
Yes, this is the PAN. Can you
Yes,
find
sir.
the same number here? AANFB1373L. Is it there or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Before that, the 21 is the state code. It shows that this is registered in Odisha. Okay, 21 is the state code for Odisha. If it is from different place, you can find code will be different. In initial classes also, I had indicated you all this thing. But now what is important for you, you have to understand that without PAN, we cannot apply for GST registration. Because GST itself is a PAN based number. This registration is a PAN based process. It is based on PAN. Therefore, we need to have a PAN card. Right? So those who are not having PAN card, please first get a PAN card. Without that, the GST registration, if required, will not be possible. Did you understand? Okay. Now look at the GST certificate and tell me, this certificate is valid from which date?
So 26th October 2017.
That is the date of issue of certificate. It is valid from which date?
So 1st July 2017.
1st July 2017. Can you tell me, in our country, from which date GST law becomes applicable? What is the date? Date when GST laws are implemented in our country in most of the states. There are some exceptions. We know it. Earlier, we have studied it in our initial classes.
2017, May 2017.
Not May.
Yeah.
Not May.
Uh,
That is also celebrated as GST Day.
July 2017.
1st July 2017. Okay.
1st July.
This is again valid from 1st July 2017. Okay. Date of liability is 1st July 2017. That is from that date this certificate is valid. Okay. And that day is also referred to as appointed date. Okay. So this is how GST certificate looks. By seeing the certificate, a person's certificate, you can find out what is his GSTIN. Whether this certificate is valid during the transaction time. Let us say he has supplied something on a particular date, but certificate is not valid on that date. Then he is not supposed to collect GST. Is it not? If he is collecting GST, he is doing a crime. Understood? So therefore, you need to verify the GST certificate of your suppliers. They should display it at a place so that it can be verified. Is it clear to you? Have some broad idea about this GST registration certificate. And the certificate is not a single, one more thing you see, it's a system generated certificate. It is digitally signed. When you complete the registration process, you have to download your certificate. Nobody will physically give you the certificate. You have to download, keep it, and it is digitally signed. So it doesn't require any, it should not carry any signature. Okay. Oh, right. And the certificate might have certain annexures. Right. Now you can see one more thing. What is written here? Can you read it? Where I'm putting the cursor.
The address of principal place of business.
Principal place of business. So when we will be applying for GST registration, we should know what is your principal place of business. Okay. We can also include additional places of business. If I'm including additional places of business in the certificate, there will be annexure. It will show the additional places of business. It shows the principal place of business, and there should be an address, and you should produce the address proof also. Maybe rent agreement, maybe electricity bill, all these things you have to submit so that registration process can be completed. So you have to give the proof of that address. Okay, so PAN is required, address proof is required. All right, certain other documents are also required, like a proprietor photo is also required. So we'll be seeing all these things. If you see some of the annexures of the GST registration certificate, I'm showing you one more annexure. You see, this is annexure A. Okay, annexure A, you see, this shows the additional places. Total number of additional places of business is 1. That means in a state, if someone is having different places where he conducts business, he can include all these places as additional places. Is it clear to you? Suppose that was principal place of business. You see, this is additional place of business, address is here. If someone is having 2 additional places or 3 additional places, that details also can be found out in GST certificate. In annexure, it will be given. Is it clear to you? So it is possible that if you are having several places of business in a state or in a union territory, then you can have a single certificate, and all the places can be included in the GST registration certificate as additional places of business. Is it clear? Did you understand the concept of additional places of business? Yes or no?
Sir, can you repeat?
I told you, when you apply for registration, you have to give the details of principal place of business. And principal place of business will be appearing in the registration certificate. In the main certificate itself, it will appearing. This is, you see, the principal place of business. And you have to provide an address proof for that thing also. Right? And if you are having additional places of business within the state or within the union territory, that details also has to be provided. And in the certificate, there will be an annexure where the detail of these additional places of business will also be mentioned. As you can see, this is annexure A of that certificate. And this particular certificate shows the total number of additional places is 1, and this is the detail, this is the address. Okay. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, one more thing. There will be some other annexures. Okay, like see, if this is a detail annexure. It talks about details of, let us say it's a partnership form. Details of partners are also provided here. That how many partners are there, and what is their designation. One can find it out. Those things are also provided in the GST certificate. Okay, everybody's photo are there. So if it is a proprietorship form, then you have to upload your photo. If it is a partnership, then you have to upload the photos of all the partners. Similarly, if it is a company, you have to upload the photos of directors. So these details are required. Okay, so photos are required, address proof is required, and PAN is required. Minimum. These things are required to apply for GST registration certificate. Is it clear? When you will be applying practically, you will be thinking how to do the things. But you got some broad idea that these things we need to have. Without that, we cannot apply, because these things itself, they are appearing in the certificate. Is it clear to you? Okay. And one can have a trade name also. trade name. Suppose a proprietary name is there, one can apply it in the name of trade name. So trade name can be something else. Legal name can be something else. That is possible. We'll be seeing it in when we're learning the process. Well, friends. Now, having covered this, having understood up to this, now we'll be learning why there is a need for registration. Why at all we need to register ourselves. So, friends, you need to appreciate that registration is the most fundamental requirement under GST law. A supplier, if GST is applicable to him, or if as per the law he's supposed to go for registration, he has to do the registration. He has to complete the registration process and obtain a GST identification number. For identifying the supplier, registration is necessary. And that is the first step to comply GST law. One should have the registration if he is a supplier. And he is supposed to get himself registered under requirements of GST law, that is under requirements of section 22 or 24. If he is supposed to get himself registered, he must go for registration. Right. Without registration, one person, a supplier, cannot collect GST, nor he can claim ITC. He cannot claim input tax credit. He cannot take input tax credit. He cannot also collect GST from the customers, from the recipients. Okay. So if you find a supplier is collecting GST without registration number, so that is a crime he is doing. That is it's a non-compliance of GST law. Registration legally recognizes a person as a supplier. So therefore, registration is required. Through this process of registration or the certificate of registration authorizes a supplier to collect taxes, and he can to collect, not only to collect taxes but also to pass input tax credit. Right. So these are the reasons for which registration is necessary. Main advantages of this registration is that one can claim input tax credit, and one can utilize that input tax credit for settling his output tax liability. And the process of registration also ensures seamless flow of input tax credit. That means from one person, tax flows, that input tax credit can flow from another person. The output of one person becomes input of some other person. He can also take tax credit. That is how the credit flows from one person to another person till it reaches the ultimate consumer, who has to bear the burden of tax. The concept of seamless flow of credit we have discussed earlier in our initial chapter. I think you are able to understand how GST registration ensures a smooth flow of input tax credit from one person to another person till the ultimate consumer. Understood up to this? Why registration is important and what are the advantages of registration? Is it clear to you?
Yes, yes.
Fine. Now, one technical thing you have to learn. This registration is required state-wise. So you have to remember, under GST law, the supplier is required to obtain state-wise registration. That means it is possible in, let us say, in one state there are multiple places, the one registration is possible. For every state, one should have separate registration. Let us say one is operating from two different places, then one should have two registrations. Okay. The supplier is required to obtain state-wise registration. There is no concept of centralized registration. One cannot think that I will do only one registration and I will operate in different states. No. State-wise, you have to go for separate registration. Okay, centralized registration under GST law, it is not there. Earlier under service tax law, it was there, but now under GST law, centralized registration is not there. Every state or in every union territory, one has to obtain a registration. Okay. Okay. But however, if he's supplying something which is non-taxable from a particular state, then he need not obtain registration from that state. Okay, meaning he's not required to obtain registration from a state or union territory where he makes non-taxable supplies. There are certain items which are non-taxable under GST law. So if you are making those supply only, then separate registration is not required for that state. Otherwise, for every state, separate registrations are required. Is it clear to you? The concept of state-wise registration, is it clear to you? Keep on responding. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Fine. So every state one should have separate registration. Is it not? Suppose you have one place of business in Bhubaneswar, one place of business at Kolkata. How many registrations do you need? How many registrations are required? You are doing from business 2, right? So 2 registrations are required. But in case from Kolkata, you are also only making non-taxable supplies. Then you need not get yourself registered from Kolkata. So only from in the state of Odisha, you can get yourself registered. West Bengal registration is not required if you are supplying only non-taxable supplies. Is it clear? All right. Now, we are discussing it earlier also. The concept of PAN-based registration. As you have already seen, registration is PAN-based. Once a supplier is liable to register, he has to obtain registration in each state or union territory in which he operates under the same PAN. If he is operating under the same PAN from different states or different union territories, from each state or from union territory or from each union territory where he is operating under the same PAN, needs to obtain a registration. Okay. Normally, he can obtain a single registration in a state or union territory. For all the places of his within the state or within the union territory, he can go for single registration. But here he has got an option. Within the state also he can have multiple registrations, right? Okay, where he has multiple places of business in a state or union territory, he has the option to go for single registration. If he goes for single registration, what will happen? In one, he will declare one place as the principal place of business, which I had shown you in the certificate, and other places as additional places of business. If he goes for single registration, or what he can do, he can obtain separate registration from each place of business within the state or within the union territory. But he is going, let us say he is doing business from different states, then from each state or with respect to each state, he has to obtain a separate registration. Is it clear? Is it clear to you? Or if you have some queries, please feel free to ask at this stage. Yes or no? Clear or not? Can you reply?
So can you please repeat?
Yeah. As I told you, GST registration is a PAN-based registration, right? And once a supplier is liable to register himself, he has to obtain registration in each state or union territory in which he operates under the same PAN. Let us say by using the same PAN or for a particular business where one PAN is there, he's operating from different states or different union territories. He's required to obtain registration from each state and each union territory. Okay. From each state or union territory, he has to operate separate registers. For example, let us say you are having a place of business in Odisha. You are also having a place of business in Bihar. You are having a place of business in West Bengal. Tell me how many registrations you should obtain?
So 3.
3 registration you need to obtain. But again, I repeat the same question. Suppose you have a place of business in Odisha, in West Bengal and in Bihar. But from West Bengal, you are only making non-taxable supplies. Then how many registrations you should have?
So 2.
2. Right. Now tell me, in the Odisha, you are having place of business in Bhubaneswar, you are having place of business in Barampur, you are having place of business in Raulkela. How many registrations you should have? Within Odisha, 3 places. How many registrations you should have?
So it's in one state. So one registration might be enough now, sir.
Yeah, here you see, this is the kind of situation you got a choice. You may go for a single registration. If you go for a single registration, you may mention one place as the principal place of business. Other places are additional places of business. That is option 1. Or you can have separate registrations. For each place, you can have separate registrations. So within the state, you got an option. But if it involves different states, then you don't have any option. For with respect to each state, you have to have separate registrations. Okay. Is this concept clear now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right. Now, one more thing we have to keep in the mind. You know, there are separate GSTs. There are different GSTs like CGST, SGST, IGST, UTGST. For all these kind of GSTs, whether it is state tax, central tax, union territory tax, all these things, single registration is sufficient. Okay. It is not tax specific. GST registration is not tax specific. You cannot say I don't have IGST registration, but I have CGST and SGST registration. No, that's not possible. One registration is sufficient. It's not tax specific, right? Single registration for all taxes. And to understand the registration process, we have to learn this section 22 to 30 of the CGST Act will be covering here. All these sections will be learning, and also rules of registration. Chapter 3 of the GST rules, that's rules 8 to 26 also you'll be learning. And similar kind of provisions are also there. Identical provisions are there in the GST, the state GST laws. But in our classes, we'll be focusing on CGST Act. CGST Act rules and provisions we'll be learning. And here you have to remember one more thing. The provisions under CGST Act have also made applicable to IGST Act. Okay, and in the state acts, there are identical provisions, right? So this is the situation. Now, before understanding, before learning the registration process, we'll understand few definitions. Few definitions are important for us to understand the law. First definition is that we need to understand who is an agent. I had earlier we have discussed this point. The concept of agent is important for us to understand the law relating to registration. Agent means a person including factor, broker, commission agent, ahartia, delegated agent, auctioneer, or any other mercantile agent by whatever name called, who carries on the business of supply or receipt of goods or services or both on behalf of another. So whatever might be name called, he carries on the business of supply or carries on the business of receipt of goods on behalf of others. That person will be called as agent. Okay, right? Delegated agent is a different kind of agent. Okay, what he does in addition to his agency work, he also acts as a guarantor for the credit extended to the buyer. For credit sales, he also acts as a guarantor. That they are called as delegated agents. So this is the definition of agent provided under section 2 clause 5 of the CGST Act. Factor, broker, commission agent, ahartia, delegated agent, auctioneer, all of them are included in the definition of agent. Okay, is it clear? Now, few more definitions we have to learn. First of all, we need to know what is the meaning of common portal. Common portal means GST portal. Okay, GST portal. Okay, www.gst.gov.in. We'll be visiting to that portal to learn the process. Okay, so common portal means goods and services tax electronic portal. Okay, this has been referred under section 146. Then Taxable supply also we need to understand meaning of this. Means supply of goods and services both which is which is leviable to tax. Then taxable territory means a territory to which provisions of this act applies. These definitions we should know. Place of business. This is a new definition for us. We have not learned it earlier. Business we have understood, but what is place of business? Inclusive definition is given under section 2 clause 85. So place of business includes a place where business is ordinarily carried on. That is the place of business where business is ordinarily carried on. And it includes warehouse, godown, other places where a taxable person stores his goods, supplies, or receives goods or services or both. So all these things are included in the definition of business, definition of place of business. So the storehouses, godowns, warehouses, all these things are included in the place of business. So if someone having different places of business, he is supposed to disclose various places of business. One is principal place of business, others are additional places of business. And it also includes a place where taxable person maintains his books of account. Right, the books of accounts are maintained in a particular place. That is also one place of business. That also should be mentioned when applying for registration. Where taxable person is engaged, includes a place where a taxable person is engaged in the business through agent. If through agent he is doing some business in a different place, that place is also included in the definition of place of business. So now you have seen place of business includes all these things. When you will be applying for registration, we need to disclose various places of businesses. So we have to disclose all this. Now, few more definitions. Meaning of appellate authority means the authority appointed or authorized to hear appeals. Right, this is the authority who will be hearing appeal cases. They are referred to as appellate authority. Next definition is about fixed establishment. Means a place other than the registered place of business. So apart from registered place of business, if there is some other place which is characterized by sufficient degree of performance and suitable structure in terms of human and technical resources. So there is sufficient human resources, technical resources to supply the services or to receive or use services for his own needs. That place will be referred to as fixed establishment. Principal place of business means the place of business specified in the principal place of business in the certificate of registration. In the certificate of registration also adds what is principal business. That will be understood as the principal place of business. We need to understand the meaning of proper officer. In relation to any function to be performed under this act, proper officer means commissioner. Commissioner is the proper officer or an officer of the central tax who is assigned that function by commission. Either commissioner or an officer who has been assigned that function by the commission. So with reference to a function under GST, we have to understand what is the meaning of proper officer. A registered person is a person who is registered under section 25, but does not include a person having unique identification number. Anybody has remembered what is unique identification number? In the first chapter we have learned it. UIN. Anyone can tell me what is unique identification number? Let me explain you what is that. This is a special class of GST registration. It is issued to foreign diplomatic missions and embassies who are not liable to pay taxes in Indian territory. This number is issued, that is called as UIN. Okay, they can apply for UIN registration. Okay, any amount of tax which has been collected has to be refunded to them. So who can apply for UIN? These are the special category of persons who can apply for UIN. Specialized agency of United Nations organization, multilateral financial institution, and financial institution are organized notified under United Nations Privileges and Immunity Act 1947. Consulate or embassy of foreign countries. Any other person or the class of person as they be notified. So these are the people who can apply and obtain UIN. Right. So When we talk about the registration person, it does not include person having EIN. The meaning of tax period is that period for which return is required to be furnished. Right? For which return is required to be furnished, that is referred to as tax period. What is the meaning of business? We know it earlier. Quickly we'll recapitulate that thing. The business includes trade, commerce, manufacture, profession, vocation, adventure, wager, and similar kind of activities. Also, it includes all activities which are incidental or ancillary to these above activities. Okay. Frequency, continuity doesn't matter. Okay, whether it is irrespective of the volume, frequency, continuity, or regularity, the transaction can be referred to as business. Supply or acquisition of the goods, including capital goods, services, are a part of business. Okay, provisions made by club, association, society, or body, etc. They are also included in business. Right. Then business of admission for consideration will be regarded as a business. Services supplied by holder of an office is a business. Services provided by a race club by way of totalizer or licensed bookmaker, these services are also business. Any activity or transaction undertaken by central government, state government, or any other local authority in which they are engaged as public authorities, that is also business. So business has got inclusive definition. You see, all these things are businesses. We have discussed the concept of business in detail in our initial chapter. Therefore, I'm not spending much time on this. Now, one more definition is relevant in the context of definition. That is appointed date. Means the date on which the provisions of Act came into force. Who can tell me what is appointed date once again at this stage? Can you tell me date which can be called as appointed date?
1st July 2017.
Yeah, 1st July 1917. Okay, GST become effective for most of the states. Now, having understood this, we will be understanding the concept of taxable person. Right, concept of taxable person will understand. What I will do, the concept of taxable persons will be learning maybe at a later stage. In the meantime, we'll be learning how to apply for GST registration. Okay, so I'll be briefly telling you right now. Next session, we'll be practicing it. Then after that, we'll be again understanding this legal provision, the concept of taxable person. Right. So up to this, have you understood this all this definition part and the basic things about registration, the registration certificate, GST, I think all these things are clear to you. I'll stop sharing this file right now. Any query you have, or I will be going to GST site to explain you the registration process. Up to this, is it clear? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just give me a moment. I'll be opening our GST portal. Tell me what you are seeing on the screen. What is shown?
Sir, Google.
Google page you are saying?
Yes, sir.
Now tell me, I am going to GST portal, see what I am typing. Tell me. What is the address? Can you tell me website address?
Sir, www.gst.gov.in.
Yes, I'm going to this site. You see. Now, by seeing this site, you can go through this site. I had shown you earlier also on various occasions. Here is, you see services. You can go here. You can see the process. Have a look at this side. Okay, I'm showing you slide from the top to bottom. We have to learn how to do the registration. Okay, now you have to identify and you have to tell me where to go. First, let's have a quick look. Just have a look at how site looks like. Have you seen it? I'm going down. Watch it carefully, and you have to tell me how to do registration. What is the first step? You see, new updates are there. Popular help topics are there. I'm going down. You see, taxpayers, normal, TDS, TCS, GST practitioners. Okay, all these upcoming dates are there. Fine. About GST, GST council structure, GST history, website policies, related sites, all these things are there. Now I have to go to registration. I have to load registration. I have to start a registration process. Tell me where I should click. Can you tell me? I want a GST registration certificate.
So GST practitioners.
GST practitioners, we are not GST practitioners. Let us say a consultant, if you want to register as GST practitioner, you'll go for GST practitioner. Okay, here if you go, if you are having the knowledge of GST law, maybe after completion of the course, you can go for GST practitioner. You can start GST practice. Okay, practitioner who are practicing. But we are not practitioner now. Then where we should go? We want to register. Can you tell me? Now you see, for a taxpayer, here is a link. You can register. Taxpayer, if you want, you can find a GST practitioner who will be helping him the registration process. But we are not going to take the help of any practitioner. What we are going to do, we are going to register ourselves. Then what is the link? Can you see here? What is written? Please read out. Please unmute your speakers and please interact. What is written here?
So register now.
Register now. The taxpayer can register now. Here is one option. Otherwise, there is one more option also. You see, what is written here? Services. Okay, you can go here under services. You see registration, new registration. One can go here. If I click here, new registration, you see, this is the page I am getting. This is the primary application page, new registration. Okay, we'll be seeing how to fill up this thing. This is how we can go, or what I can do, I can go back as I was telling you. Here also taxpayers can go for register now. You are seeing the same page, isn't it? So first you will be obtaining something called the TRN. TRN means what is the meaning of TRN? Please read it out.
So temporary reference number.
Temporary reference number. When you apply for the first time, so you'll be getting a TRN. Subsequently, if you apply, then you need to put that TRN. So instead of new registration, you can click here, you can get TRN. Okay, so TRN number can be filled up, your primary data will be automatically made up. But first, now what we'll do, we'll go for new registration. Right? But to apply that thing, I need somebody's PAN, so I'll be taking the help of my assistant. I'll be using her PAN and we'll try to understand the registration process. Okay, so I'll be showing you all these things. And now one more thing I would like to show you. Again, you see from services, I'm going here to home. Here you see there is a link, help and taxpayer facility. Can you see it here? Certain facilities, are provided to the taxpayer. You see help is provided. You can click here. From here also you can understand the registration process. You see, these are the help things are available. Here you see there is a beautiful link. What is written here? GST knowledge portal. Okay, for your use, for your own benefit, you can visit to GST knowledge portal. Various things are explained here. But let us say now you want to know, to understand this registration process. Okay, let us see where is that. Yeah, register with GST. Okay, know how to register GST as a taxpayer or generate user ID on temporary basis. The entire process is explained here. Okay, so applying for registration, applying for temporary, all these things. We are going to apply registration. You can apply for registration. As a normal taxpayer will be applying. Right? As a normal taxpayer will be applying. So two parts it is there. You see user manual is there, exactly will understand how to do the application. Here, step by step, these things are explained. Are you seeing the screen? Screen is visible to you? Let us say for new registration, these are the data will be asked for. This screen, we are seeing it now. You see, step by step, it has been explained how to apply for registration. Next step. Entire thing is explained here. OTP will be coming to your mobile phone as well as email. We'll be seeing that process is also explained. Entire process is explained here. In your project report, you have to take screenshots of all these steps. You'll be practically doing for your own step. You have to take screenshots and make a PowerPoint presentation so that you'll be able to do presentation. Okay, finally, when we submitted it, you'll be getting this success button. This is how we can do it. Okay, there is FAQs are also there, frequently asked questions. We can see various questions are asked. Okay, who is required to go for registration, etc. All this process things are explained regarding registration. Okay, there are 34 frequently asked questions, so you can go through this to learn this. Okay, so this is the primary things I explained you. The next session will be starting with the process, how we'll learn the registration process itself. We'll catch up after 15 minutes. We'll stop here right now. This class I'm going to end here. Thank you very, very much. We are going to catch up in the next class. Thanks a lot.